Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman. I got a new table. You like that? I'm not sitting on the floor anymore. And listen. Okay, maybe it still makes some noise, but hopefully you won't hear the big plastic rattle of my little plastic table shelf thing. Thank you, Patreon supporters. And if you want to help us get more stuff, go to Patreon. Help support this channel. Just click that link in the description below. Or head over to StarWarsJunk.net and buy some cool t-shirts. Now, you didn't come here to hear me plug away and try to get support. What are we here for? To answer a question I see all over the internet. Is Star Wars dead? Really? A lot of people keep saying that. I see it on Twitter, see it all over YouTube, see it about everywhere, that Star Wars is dead. Well, is it? I'm going to look at 5 reasons why most people credit as being proof that Star Wars is dead. Are they right? Let's find out. First, let's look at the DVD or Blu-ray sales of Star Wars The Last Jedi. According to thenumbers.com, who posts weekly home video release data, has The Last Jedi for 2018 as the 6th best-selling DVD and the #1 best-selling Blu-ray of 2018 so far. Also, the movie lands at the #1 spot for the combination format DVD and Blu-ray for 2018. Now, this data hasn't taken into account yet for Infinity Wars, of course the biggest movie of the year. But this isn't about The Last Jedi being the biggest movie of the year, it's about selling. Even if it makes it into the top 5 home releases for 2018, it still means it's selling well. It has already made over $84 million in sales. However, people will point out that it might be selling well, but it's still selling a lot lower than The Force Awakens. True, The Force Awakens ended 2016 with over $174 million in consumer sales. Rogue One ended 2017 with a little over $84 million, a number that The Last Jedi has beaten already in only 4 months. But people are right when they say The Last Jedi is not doing as well or even as close as The Force Awakens in sales. However, let's look a little closer at that. First, The Last Jedi was the first new Star Wars in 8 years, and it had the return of the classic heroes. It had more hype than any Star Wars movie since The Phantom Menace. There was a lot going into it to make The Force Awakens a huge seller. Also, The Force Awakens was loved by most fans. Now, I'm not saying The Last Jedi doesn't have a big divide in the fan base. That's not the question. The question is Star Wars dead? Not if the fans are divided. We can all agree that the fan base is divided. The question is Star Wars dead? Not if they are divided. But let's look closer at why The Force Awakens is so much better than The Last Jedi. Let's go back to 2013. It was the peak of Blu-ray sales, with 23 movies selling over 1 million copies. The DVD format had over 45 films that sold over 1 million units in 2013. In 2014, the top-selling DVD was Zootopia with 2.25 million. The top-selling Blu-ray was The Force Awakens with 141 million. Clearly, DVD was not selling as well in 2016 as Blu-ray. DVD was a dying format, with most people moving to Blu-ray. In 2016, the disc market fell by 10%, and in 2017, the disc sales saw another fall, this time 14%. It's clear that the home disc market is losing sales as more people move to get their movies digitally. In 2016, streaming numbers gained even more ground than the year before. Not only are more movie fans buying more digital, they're also watching more movies over streaming sites such as Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon. So not only do you have a fan base divided, you have a market of hard disc sales getting lower and lower each year. It's just common sense that you will see The Last Jedi not selling anywhere as close to the numbers that The Force Awakens did. Also, The Last Jedi hit Netflix only 5 months after its release. The Force Awakens, due to rights issues, never hit Netflix in the US. This would cause any casual fans not to rush out to buy a movie when they can watch it almost for free at any time on Netflix. So are The Last Jedi sales down compared to The Force Awakens? Sure. Are home disc sales also down since 2016? Yes, they are. It's not about The Last Jedi, it's about the market. I'm a big fan myself of The Last Jedi, and even I didn't buy a copy. I just got the digital download. Why? Simply, it's just easier to watch it digitally. And also, I know, most likely, that Lucasfilm will release a box set of all 3 of the new saga films sometime after Episode 9. So I'm just holding out for a better release. Fans didn't go back to see The Last Jedi. It means they hated it, right? First, let's look at the box office. The Last Jedi made $1.32 billion, while The Force Awakens made $2 billion. For sure, it was a much bigger hit. Now, like I said, we had a lot going into The Force Awakens. The first movie in 10 years, the old cast coming back, and all the hype. That alone is going to sell a lot more tickets. The Force Awakens didn't drop much in its second week, unlike The Last Jedi, clearly showing that fans didn't go back to see it, right? Well, not exactly. The Force Awakens' second week drop was 39%. The Last Jedi dropped 65%. Yes, that's a huge number for a movie in its second weekend to drop. Does that mean fans didn't go back? Well, sure, some fans didn't go back to see it. But unlike The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi had a lot of movies for its second weekend. Going into its second weekend for The Force Awakens was Daddy's Home and Joy. Daddy's Home did well with $38 million, and Joy was a soft opening with $17 million. What opened the weekend after The Last Jedi? Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, made $36 million. Pitch Perfect 3 brought in $19 million, and The Greatest Showman also opened with $8 million. That's 3 major movies the following weekend. The Last Jedi made $71 million on its second weekend. Let's say those that didn't go see the new movies went to see The Last Jedi. That could have pushed The Last Jedi opening weekend to $134 million. Now I know everyone that went to see these new movies might not have went to see The Last Jedi. But the second weekend was also Christmas weekend. But most families going out will likely go see something they didn't see the week before. Again, the question isn't if Star Wars fans didn't like it, so they didn't go back to see it. The question is Star Wars dead? No, it's not. First off, comparing The Last Jedi to anything The Force Awakens did is just wrong. You can't compare the two. Second, The Last Jedi had a lot more competition than The Force Awakens faced. Jumanji alone would cross over $400 million, and The Great Showman and Pitch Perfect 3 would both end up making over $100 million, taking the extra sales away from The Last Jedi, something The Force Awakens release did not have. Well, it's a fact. Most fans hated The Last Jedi, right? Well, there's really no proof of that. Besides, people online seem to hate it. First, let's look at SurveyMonkey. If you don't know SurveyMonkey, they are a private company that does data research for major brands like Facebook, Samsung, Kraft, and more. They did an independent poll on how fans felt about The Last Jedi. First off, they only talked to moviegoers, not people online that said they went to see it. They found that 89% of normal Star Wars fans either loved or liked it. 81% who say they are not Star Wars fans say they loved it or liked it. But what about us hardcore Star Wars fans? We all hated it, right? Well, they found 63% of hardcore fans think it was either above average or the best Star Wars movie ever. Only 5% of non-Star Wars fans found it below average when comparing it to the other Star Wars movies. And they also found that 53% wanted to see more Star Wars movies, and only a third think it's time for Star Wars to end. But what about the Star Wars fans online? Well, over at the official Star Wars website, they asked fans what their favorite Star Wars movie was. The Empire Strikes Back is the number one most loved film by fans with 41%. The Last Jedi came in at third place with 14%. Now, 14% sounds low, but it's the third movie out of all the movies but Solo. And yes, Rotten Tomatoes has a fan rating of 49%. But other online reviews have it a lot higher. The Internet Movie Database has it at 7 out of 10. Not bad. CinemaScore, who talked to real moviegoers, gave it a grade of an A. Out of over 175,000 voters on BuzzFeed, they found that 49% loved it and only 7% hated it. Is the fan base divided? Sure. But does the majority of fans hate it? Not at all. If anything, I would be shocked if it was more than 30%. If that high at all. Solo's box office proves that most people hated The Last Jedi and Star Wars is dead, right? Well, again, I will admit that many people didn't like The Last Jedi. But did their boycott kill Solo's box office? Hurt it? Sure. But with Solo, there's a lot of little reasons why it didn't make as much as it should have. You take all those little reasons and they equal up to one big reason. First off, those put off by The Last Jedi. Yes, it hurt ticket sales. But again, that's not the only reason. First off, we have a movie that many fans kept saying they didn't want or care about since the day it was announced. Second, a lot of fans were not happy with replacing Harrison Ford, feeling Ford was the only one that could play Han Solo. So you already had from the start a fan divide. Solo was released about 5 months after The Last Jedi. Star Wars is not Marvel. You need time to let the fans debate the newest movie and then get hyped for the upcoming movie. Now some will say that it's because of the release date, with Solo coming out 4 weeks after Avengers and a week after Deadpool. But I find this one a little lacking. 4 weeks is a long time between movies and Deadpool wouldn't reach the family crowd. Did Deadpool hurt Solo? Maybe a little. But one of the major problems was the lack of promotion from Lucasfilm. First off, Lucasfilm didn't even start promoting Solo until February, 3 months before the movie was released. The other Star Wars movies had about a year of promotion with teasers, behind the scene reels, photos, toys, things to get people hyped up. Solo had a teaser trailer and then a full trailer within 24 hours of each other. Also, there was the production issues. The firing of Lord and Miller and bringing in Ron Howard. Now I don't think that had a major impact, but it does add to the bad press that this film was getting for almost a year. Lucasfilm should have offset this bad news reporting with trailers, clips from the film, something to offset all the bad press. Many fans felt Lucasfilm was hiding Solo, and this put a bad taste in their mouth long before the release. The decline of Star Wars toy sales is 100% proof Star Wars is dead. I mean, that's been the lifeline of Star Wars all the way back since 1977. Well, let's take a closer look at that. First off, are Star Wars action figure sales down? Yes. Let's look at the new Last Jedi figures. The main heroes, Luke, Kylo, Finn, and Poe, all look and dress almost the same as they did in The Force Awakens. Kids that have Luke, Kylo, Finn, and Poe are not going to waste their money on buying figures they already have, even if it's from a new movie. Rey, the main star, did get a new outfit, but she's one of the hardest figures to find and seems to be selling the best. The new characters, such as Rose, Paige, and DJ, are boring. Kids, for the most part, want bad guys, heroes with lightsabers, and aliens. It's kids that drive Star Wars sales the most, not collectors. Sorry Hasbro, but kids don't want Paige. But are they really not selling? Well, Star Wars was the top selling toy line during the 9-week Christmas period in 2017. So people were still buying them, but they were the third for the whole year. But the truth is, kids don't buy action figures like they did just a few years ago, and the collectors isn't going to drive the market. You need kids. But this is an all-over problem, not just with Star Wars, as kids today put down their action figures and pick up more video games and tablets. Lego, Hasbro, and Mattel all report a loss for 2017. When I was a kid, we would keep playing with action figures into our early teens. Nowadays, kids drop their action figures and pick up a smartphone or a video game controller or even a tablet a lot sooner than before. And what toys are hurting the most? Forbes says it's movie action figures. In the year 2000, only 2 movies in the top 10 had action figures based on that film. However, in 2017, 9 of the top 10 movies had a tie-in movie line. So even the kids are still buying toys, they have a lot more to pick from. And today, movies come and go a lot faster. Kids might want that new Ray action figure, but in 5 weeks, they're on to the new movie, and kids want that new Iron Man. And then, 3 weeks later, they want that new Ant-Man action figure. I think sometimes as Star Wars fans, or as Star Wars collectors, we often overlook that it's a kids' market, that kids make and grow the sales. Sure, we add to it, but we're not the driving force. If you have a kid between 8 and 13, does he collect and play with action figures? If so, does he want the complete line, or just pick his favorites? What about his friends? Do they all collect the whole line? I think if you ask them, you'll find out most of them do not. They might have a few, but they don't want the whole line and don't sit around playing with them daily. So are the Star Wars toy sales down? Yes. Is the whole toy market down? Yes. Is the whole movie tie-in action figure lines down? Again, a yes. This doesn't mean Star Wars is dead. It means kids are moving away from action figures. Well, that breaks down the 5 reasons I think that Star Wars isn't dead. If it was dead, I think we would have a clearer understanding that it's dead. It looks like, for the most part, that action figures and DVD or Blu-ray sales are down. Well, that's a look at the 5 reasons people say Star Wars is dead and why I say they're wrong. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I think the real test is seeing how Episode 9 does. Sadly, if Episode 9 bombs at the theater, it might show that Star Wars is dead, and it might be a little too late to do anything about it. If it is dead, why do you think it is? Again, let me know in the comments below. I want to thank you for watching. Again, if you want to support this channel, go over to patreon.com. The link to Patreon's in the description below, or head over to starwarsjunk.net and buy some cool t-shirts. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.